Hello and welcome to the Indian Weekender. My name is Urjita Bharadwaj and today I'm joined by a very special guest. He's a three-time MP from Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala in India, and he is also an author. We will be talking to him about India-New Zealand relations and its way forward. Mr. Shashi Tharoor, welcome to the Indian Weekender.
Good to see you, Urjita. Good to be here.
So I believe this is not your first visit to Auckland. You've been here before.
6 years ago was the last time I came for the same event, the Auckland Writers' Festival. And then before that was many years earlier, I think at least 15 years before that.
Oh, really?
When I came when I was in the United Nations. And I don't remember why I came, but I do remember the America's Cup was going on at the same time and Auckland was hosting it. So I remember being escorted to the harbour area where there were row upon row of these yachts lined up. So that would have been, I think, 99 or 2000, the first couple of years of the 2000s. So it's been a long time, 3 visits spread out over 3 decades.
So sir, my first question to you would be that you are a former MOS for External Affairs. What is your assessment of the current India-New Zealand relations and where do you think it's headed?
Well, I think there's no real problem, fortunately, with India-New Zealand relations. Everything I've seen suggests that the relationship is going well. By and large, one area that perhaps didn't develop its full potential was trade. There were some talks, but it looks like our own rather limited dairy industry in India chickened out of the possibility of free trade with New Zealand, which I think is a mistake. I think we could have gained a lot of knowledge because what the New Zealanders have done with dairy is something that no country can match. And we could have gained technology, skills, and so on from association with them. But anyway, whatever it may be, that seems to have been the one issue where things didn't take off. The usual cementing factors, cricket, some diaspora migration. I believe we have about 250,000 Indians in this 5 million population, which is, what is that, about 5%, if I've got it right? 3 to 5% of the population. But it's growing. And what's interesting was, the first time I came to New Zealand, I thought, at least a place where I can be anonymous. And then I went out for dinner yesterday and
people recognize
end up giving 2,000 selfies to various people, including the waiters, the staff, and so on. Not that I mind, but I'm just saying that this it was to me a stark reminder that Indians are everywhere, and that in New Zealand they're growing in number.
They are growing in number. That's very true. So the reason why I asked you about the relations between the two countries in the current times is because there's a general perception that India is low priority for New Zealand. Would you agree or would you disagree? Well,
actually, the problem is that when you're a country of 5 million people, you really can't afford any low priorities, right? I mean, you need to have your relations with everybody who can be of some use to you. So I'm not quite sure that makes, in some ways, the concern if you were New Zealander would be to ask whether New Zealand is high enough priority for a giant like India. And that, I don't mean to be patronizing or offensive, but you've got on the one hand a country of 1.4 billion people, which is the third largest economy in the world already in PPP terms, purchasing power parity terms, and that means in terms of economic size, it's immense, and New Zealand is still very small. So New Zealand has to ask itself whether it's doing enough in some ways to be more of a priority for a country like India. Having said that, I'm a great admirer of New Zealand, so don't get me wrong. I'm not being nasty about your question. I'm just saying that most Indians would tend to say, so what does New Zealand have to offer us other than milk and sheep? And New Zealand can turn around and ask, what can we get out of India? And the answer is, in many ways, a lot more. How
do you think New Zealand would be able to benefit from deeper partnerships with India?
Well, I think that kind of thing. The private sector certainly can benefit in this sort of way. Tech companies can do that. New Zealanders might well want to discover the joys of tourism in India. There are New Zealand tourists going to Southeast Asian countries, which are closer undoubtedly, and then going all the way to Europe. How many of them are truly stopping on the way and seeing what India has to offer? And maybe that's one area where India could do a better job of promoting tourism in India in New Zealand, because New Zealanders are a prosperous set of people and they do afford holidays around the world, and maybe that's a market we should be tapping into. New Zealanders could also well ask themselves whether, having seen how much they can gain out of cricketing ties with India. I mean, as you know, New Zealanders are playing in the IPL in rather large numbers and doing well and making lots of money too. Whether there are other kinds of activities in which further collaboration would be possible. But I don't want to claim to be a big authority on all this, Urjita, because I'm not here, strictly speaking, on behalf of anybody, not even the government or the opposition for that matter. I'm here in a purely personal capacity. And if I were to come back tomorrow on behalf of the government of India, if there's a change of government next month, who knows? In that case, I would be better briefed on some of the specific details that you're asking about.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Tharoor, for your time. It was lovely having a chat with you, and we hope to see you back really, really soon.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. It took 6 years since the last visit, but I hope there'll be an opportunity sooner than that. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.